Good evening, Ottawa. Pleasure to be here today. L Day tomorrow. Wow, this is huge. This is a huge day in our country's history. This is a huge day in the world's history. I'm proud to be part of this and to share it here with you tonight. My name is Jeremy Jacob. I'm a married man of 24 years. I've got beautiful daughters who are productive, who are intelligent, who are well-grounded. I'm a professional mechanical engineer. I worked at Ballard Power Systems on fuel cell engine development. I started and ran a business in BC that became one of the premier installers of geo-exchange systems in that province. And I now co-own an award-winning cannabis retail shop in Vancouver. I'm president of the Canadian Association of Medical Cannabis Dispensaries. And I engage government on behalf of cannabis and the people who produce, sell, and consume it. And since the age of 16, I've been a cannabis consumer. And that, my friends, is what we call coming out green. So one thing I really look forward to post-legalization is the eroding away of the stigma and the shame associated with being a cannabis consumer. I found the ways that cannabis benefits my health and wellness, and this type of use somehow lessens the negative connotations around cannabis consumption. But I also enjoy cannabis because it makes me feel good. And that's okay. In fact, that's wonderful. In our stressed-out, high-paced society, feeling good is something we should all crave and want. Thank you. So as more of us take the step of coming out green, we'll collectively undo those myths and stereotypes of cannabis as a gateway drug, or cannabis as a direct path to becoming a stoner. What I know from being a cannabis retailer is that cannabis consumers come in all shapes and sizes. There are doctors and surgeons, and then, on the other hand, carpenters and tradesmen. You've got lawyers and bankers, and teachers and artists. You've got grandparents and their grandchildren. Of all races and all cultures, it breaks every idea you had of who is using this plant. So let's do a little exercise, and I hope you'll all join me. Everyone please stand up, and this is going to be painless, so nothing to worry about here. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Now, this exercise is all about cannabis consumption. So if you've consumed cannabis in the last year, please remain standing. Everybody else can have a seat. Okay. Now, this is well over the 50, actually, I think it's about a 20% that Health Canada says it is, or that Stats Canada says. So as we get past this L Day and these stigmas get broken down, we're going to get closer to those real numbers about cannabis consumption. So how about in the last month? If you've consumed cannabis in the last month, please stay standing. Okay. How about the last week? Okay. Still quite a few of us standing. How about the last day? The last day. The last 24 hours, yeah. How about one more? How about earlier today? Okay. So I'm standing with all of you guys. Okay? And everybody can please have a seat now. Thank you. So the normalization of cannabis consumers has just begun right here, right in this room tonight. So thank everybody for being a part of that. Oh, and by the way, if anyone wants to join me after this event, I'll be at least 6 meters to the left of the front entrance. Okay. Now, I promise not to bore you with too many statistics, but I do want to share a few numbers with you. And the first is 79. That's the percent of Canadians who say that legalization won't change the way they use or their likelihood to consume cannabis for a recreational reason. But there's a lot that your average Canadian doesn't know about what cannabis can do. It's much more than a recreational drug, and I think that's not lost on this audience, but it has so much to offer us in so many aspects of our lives. For example, a 2013 study offered CBD inhalers to smokers who were able to reduce their consumption by about 40%. Now, for perspective, Nicotine substitutes like Nicorette, the patch, or the gum, they have about a 17% reduction. So that 40% is 2.5 times the effectiveness of nicotine. Now, imagine that when you know that $17 billion is spent each year mitigating the harms of cannabis. That is a tremendous number, that 40%. A 2016 study surveyed 17 medical marijuana states in the US and found that the average doctor prescribed 285 fewer doses of antidepressants each year, 486 fewer doses of seizure medication, 541 fewer anti-nausea doses, 562 fewer anti-anxiety doses, and most strikingly, 1,826 fewer doses of painkillers per year. Now that's per doctor. So you can imagine the numbers of people not exposed to synthetic drugs and their plethora of side effects and their potential for addiction, and in some cases, with mixing of these substances, even death. So once we as Canadians begin to understand the many potentials of cannabis, that 79% stasis number could change dramatically, and not for recreation either, for the medical and therapeutic benefits of cannabis. Now I could go on, but my time is short. I want to leave you with a final number, and that's the number 1. As my colleagues have mentioned, Canada will be the first G7 and even the first G20 nation to legalize cannabis. So with that comes tremendous opportunity. This is already a global industry, and Canada is the world leader in this. But with that comes real responsibility. So it's truly my hope that as this industry grows, we can shine a light on the benefits this plant has to offer and champion the health and wellness ethos that this legalization movement was founded on. It doesn't start tomorrow either. It's already started. It started today. And it starts with all of us in this room. Everyday people, business leaders, political leaders. We need to shed the stigmas around cannabis. We need to keep an open mind. And we need to recognize and develop the tremendous potential this plant holds for Canadians. Thank you.